In this lesson, we're going to work with the update cursor. And what the update cursor, as its name indicates, is take a value that is in a certain row, so we're looking at an individual cell, and takes that value and you can change that value to being a different value, and by changing that value you can correct errors that may exist. For example, if your answer is supposed to be capital YES and instead someone types into that cell lowercase YES, you can go in there and search for every place that you see the lowercase yes and change it to the uppercase Y automatically. So if you had a long table of hundreds of records, you wouldn't want to go in there and have to manually inspect and change each record. Instead, what you'd want to do is be able to automate the process so you do it once and then don't have to worry about it again. For example, if you have multiple people putting in information and you don't define how that information is going to be put in carefully, then the information is put in different methodologies. What happens if I query that information and I want to look at all the people who responded with a yes answer, what happens is that capital YES and lowercase YES are two different values and they will not give me the same result. So how we do that in a Python script is what we want to explore using the update cursor. So what you're seeing here is my raw data. And so let's look at our raw data. The field that we're going to concentrate ourselves with is this field right here called the name field. So see the field called the name field. And if you inspect this field, you're going to see that we have JMIRR, JMI, and I'm not putting all the periods in, railroad, and we have one place here that is completely spelled out. And what JMI stands for is Jeffersonville, comma, Madison, comma, and Indianapolis. So you can see it's spelled out in this record here. It's abbreviated RR on some locations and railroad in other locations. And what we want to do is work with a script that can change them all to be in the same format. And there's different ways we can do this. We can look at all the correct ones. We could look at all the wrong ones. And in this case, we're only going to fix one form of it. So we have two wrong forms and one correct form. Now what's the wrong form and what's the correct form is really left up a little bit to interpretation. So let me change my pen color here. Let's go with this green. We're going to assume that this form here is the correct form. And the ones that we're going to change is this record here with the RR here and this record here with the RR. We're going to change those to look like the green circled form. So that's what we're going to make the change, the modification is. That second row, FID1, which has the name spelled out, we're not going to do anything with, but obviously if you fully wanted to correct your attribute table, you'd want to fix that one as well. So let's look at our script. This top part of our script, we're not going to worry about. Those are just our comments. This piece here of our script was automatically put in for me. Again, we're not going to worry about that particular part of the script. Let me change pen colors again. And the first two commands we're used to, we import arcpy and we import the environment statement. The next thing that we do is we set where the file is located. So it's in a folder called Track 3 under my GIS data folders, and the name of the specific file is track3.shp. So this is a shapefile, and the column that we're interested in looking at, as we saw before, is the name column. So this is our update cursor command. It is row equal arcpy.da. Remember, the DA is meaning that we're accessing the data access module, that we are actually being able to change the data, and that's important. That has to be there to work with the update cursor. The update cursor is in the data access module. So we see then the update cursor command that we have here. Notice the capitalization in there. And so we start with a for loop. And in the for loop, we're going to have this value row. So this is all the values of name. This is going to give us all the values of name. And since then rows is going to be the individual value as we go through the loop. So this is going to be looking at all those different values in that name column. Each time through, it'll have a different value in the variable called rows. So what we're looking at then is it equal to, so we have an if statement here. Is it equal to JMNI railroad? Is that true or is that false? If it is true, we're going to print the value. The print statement is only there to make sure we understand how the pathway is working. We're going to change the value to being the way we want it to look, JMI railroad, and then we're going to update it. If it was false, then it would automatically drop down to the else statement and just say nothing was done. Again, we're only looking at one wrong value. We're not looking at multiple wrong values. You could go in there and change the script around so we look to see if it is correctly named or if it's wrongly named. So there's a different way that you could write the script to see those that are right are true instead of those that are wrong are true, as we're looking at here. So the else statement just is, again, this print statement here, just telling us what's happening, where we're at in the looping process. We get down to the bottom, we go back to the top of the for loop. Is there any more elements, any more values in that name field that we used? If there is, then go through the process again. If we've used them all up, we delete the rows in the row variables so that they won't cause us a problem later. So you can see what the flow path is. We come in here, we look in what's in that column called name. We store that in a list. We go through that list one item at a time to see if it is correct or if it's wrong. If it is wrong in a specific way, we change it. If it's wrong in other ways, or if it's correct, it doesn't matter. We drop to the else statement, and we keep going through that loop until we've interrogated each individual member. So what happens? What does this look like? So here is our results. So you can see the first value is now named correctly. This second value we didn't make any changes to because that wasn't part of our querying process of finding the wrong values. Notice the third value is correct now, the fourth value is correct, and the fifth value is correct. So we've corrected everything so far except this second row we didn't do anything with. We still need to correct that to fully make this a functional table so that we can do querying of it and find where this railroad is. And of course, this is just a small segment of a whole that we could be looking at. So this railroad will no longer exist. So this is from a historical Sanborn map is where this data comes from.